Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
Got a great story out of Wisconsin sent to me by several people. Thank you very much for passing it along. This is the kind of thing that really makes you scratch your head. County resolution threatens journalists with prosecution. Todd Richmond wrote it, but the Associated Press put this out. And this is the kind of thing where you really realize that once in a while, people get elected into positions of power who don't understand the most basic concepts of the law or the Constitution. So, Madison, Wisconsin, at least one Wisconsin county official wants to warn journalists who cover the upcoming release of a regional water quality study. Publish the county's news release summarizing the findings in its entirety without any alterations or risk criminal prosecution. This is hilarious. The Lafayette County Conservation Committee plans to vote on the resolution, which would warn reporters to print the upcoming news release without any edits or alterations or face prosecution. It isn't clear which committee member or members wrote the resolution or whether they sought legal advice before proposing it, but the effort looks blatantly unconstitutional according to experts in media law. It doesn't take an expert in media law to understand that the government cannot order newspapers to print certain things verbatim. Okay? Not in America. There have been times in human history where that's happened in other countries, but not in America. All I can say is, wow. That's a journalism instructor from the University of Wisconsin at Madison. Kathleen Bartson Culver said in an email to the Associated Press, "I'm astonished that a local government would find it appropriate, much less legal, to threaten a news organization with prosecution for doing what they're constitutionally protected in doing, representing the public interest by seeking, analyzing, and reporting information. For the life of me, I'm struggling to envision under what statute a journalist would be prosecuted for covering water test results released by local government." And that's the comical thing, is this is not over the biggest news story in Wisconsin history. This is about water test results. Don't get me wrong, those are important. Those are newsworthy. And those are something journalists can write about. Can you imagine if the Flint City Council had threatened to jail journalists who covered the Flint water problems in the past few years? Can you imagine that? I mean, well, I'm just glad they're laughing at Wisconsin, not at Michigan. So, federal and state researchers have been working on a joint study measuring contamination in private wells in Grant, Iowa, and Lafayette counties, which are in southeastern Wisconsin. They released results in August that found that 32 of 35 tested wells contain human or livestock fecal matter. That's 91% of the wells. County officials were upset by news reports that they felt wrongly conveyed that 91% of all wells in the region were contaminated, said Lafayette County Board member Chris Marion. The researchers are expected to release another round of results soon. So, in other words, 91% of the tested wells were contaminated. And they're upset that some people misunderstood that to mean that 91% of all the wells were contaminated. Except, of course, if I said what I just said and I mentioned the actual correct facts, and that is that they tested 35 wells, 32 of the tested wells were contaminated, or 91% of the tested wells were contaminated. That's the truth, okay? So, this is crazy. Marion said the Conservation Committee's resolution suddenly appeared in the county clerk's office on Thursday. The resolution states that the August results were leaked, and it accuses the media of slandering southwestern Wisconsin. Can you imagine if it was against the law for the media to slander a region? Oh my gosh, they've slandered northern lower Michigan. They've slandered them. As a result, only the county chairman would be allowed to talk to the media about future test results. The chairman would craft a news release, and any media outlets that edit the release rather than printing it in its entirety would be prosecuted. Then all they got to do is print a 10,000-page report, because no one's going to publish that. This is insane. Under no circumstances is the media allowed to glean information and selectively report it in order to interpret the results for their own means. Well, how do you define any of that? The resolution doesn't cite what law non-compliant news outlets be prosecuted under. Lafayette County's attorney, Mason Russell, didn't immediately reply to a voicemail left at his office Friday, but he's probably hiding. Marion, who's also a member of the Conservation Committee, posted the resolution on her Facebook page in an effort to draw attention to it. She said it's unclear who authorized the resolution. Neither the committee's chairman, Gerald Hyman, nor the county board chairman, Jack Sauer, immediately replied to voicemails left for them. Marion said the committee plans to vote on the resolution during an emergency meeting. If the committee signs off, the full county board would take it up in the evening. I object to this on so many levels, Marion said. It's all nonsense. It's all nonsense. So this is a crazy concept. And I'm assuming this will get struck down by the committee because now that light's been shined on it, they'll kind of have to strike it down. And if they don't strike it down, it'll get struck down by the first court that laughs. I mean, that considers it. Can you imagine if county commissions could actually pass laws on what the local papers covered? No. You cannot cover that story, but you can cover that story. You can only use these words in that story, but you cannot use these words in that story. I mean, doesn't the county have its own newsletter? Publish what you want there, but you can't control what the media puts out. This might be a news flash for southeastern Wisconsin. I'm going to slander southeastern Wisconsin right now. Sorry, I got to do it. People in southeastern Wisconsin might not know there's a thing called the Constitution. And the Constitution has attached to it amendments. If you want to discuss them as being attached or passed later, I've had people actually quibble with how I say this. And the first 10 amendments are often called the Bill of Rights. In the Bill of Rights, the top 10 amendments, first 10 that were amended there too. The number 1 amendment, first one, talks about the freedom of speech and the freedom of the press. Freedom of the press. So the freedom of the press has been guarded by the U.S. Supreme Court for years, and it's something that is taken very seriously by many people. Most people understand that you cannot pass laws limiting what journalists can and cannot cover as far as news goes. And the idea that they can take a huge report and go, here, publish it in its entirety, or don't publish it at all, but don't talk about it, don't print pieces of it. No, it's all or nothing, or someone goes to jail. I'm sorry, but that's crazy. That's crazy. So unfortunately, I'm shooting this video right now, and this has not been taken up yet. I checked, and my concern is that with the way time works, things tend to happen not all at the same time. Something happens and something happens after or subsequent. I have a feeling that by the time this video goes up, this will already have gotten struck down. I actually hope it doesn't get struck down because it'll become funnier then. But nowadays, the stuff that starts up being funny can often turn ugly. So this is an idiotic concept. And if anything happens with this, I will do a follow-up. But there you go. And I hope you understand which way I'm going on this one. But, I try not to get political. I don't think this is political. I think every American should be shocked, appalled, and dismayed that somebody who was voted into office actually said, yes, we can control what journalists write and we can threaten to jail them if they publish things we don't like in southeastern Wisconsin. Questions or comments, put them below. Otherwise, talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching Lehto's Law. And no, I'm not a robot.